Welcome back, everyone. This is Cody Hart for Government Accountability. It is Wednesday, July 17th, and I'm putting this video out to share with everyone the recent experience I had at the logic and accuracy test for our election system. And this is the one in Skagit County. I attended multiple tests, but this particular one had a number of interesting things that were exposed, discussed, and revealed that I would personally say leads me to believe the system is a failure. The entire election system is likely a failure, but this particular test, I wanted to point out some of the things that really caught my attention. So I'm going to start right into it. There are 3 segments to this. So the first one here I'm going to talk to you about in just a couple minutes. It is just talking about the certification and qualifications of our election officials. We have a representative called named Fina. She is from the Secretary of State's office. The other staff you see here, people running around, are election officials. Just to give you a little bit of understanding of who's talking here. So I'm asking some questions during the test, and I wanted you to hear the answers and listen for yourself on what they're telling us about the qualifications of the testing officials and who's conducting the elections. So here. And can you remind me, I believe you're a certified election official authorized to do this by the Secretary of State. That's a certification with the state?
Yeah, I mean, we're required to have 2 certified election officials in our office.
Okay.
So, like, Colette hasn't taken her test yet, but she can do this as well.
Okay, so who are the 2 for this office?
Actually, there's 3 of us. Kelly, Emily, and I are all certified.
Okay.
Yeah. And Colette's just been here long enough to work on her test, so you've got to be here for 2 years first.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I
You just take your chair with you.
I can.
So only certified people can run the machines?
No, any elections employee can run the machines if they're allowed by certified staff or the auditor.
Okay, so what's the certification limitation? Why do you need a certified person if if people who aren't certified can do it?
Fina, can you answer that question?
Of course. So
Because
it's
I don't
state
know the
law
answer.
that elections offices are required to have 2 certified election administrators.
Since we don't, it sounds like you don't actually have to be certified to do it, then why are we having certified people? Mm-hmm.
It's about making sure that election officials, administrators throughout the state are being consistently trained and have consistent policies.
So
I think the majority of offices do certify almost all of their employees.
yeah, but the policy of the state is not to require certified people to actually do it.
Requires certified people
I
to
was-
actually do what?
The tabulation process.
Yeah, so our job is to enforce state law,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's the state law.
No, that's what I was asking. So the policy, it sounded like, she said that they have non-certified people doing this. And
We
so,
don't, but we're not required to have certified people.
okay, and that's what I just wanted to make sure I heard right. So there's a certification program, but it's not required under state policy that someone certified actually do anything.
There is no state law that requires
Just on the screen.
any of this.
You just have to
Requires tabulation. There is no
So
state
we-
law
because we have
that
to have the
requires
writings, I'm gonna-
only
we're gonna do the
certified election administrators or
because they're
something
all
like that.
rejected and we
So
can look
that
at
would
it.
definitely
We can
be
actually
something
reject
you
all
would
writings and
direct
button.
to
So having
your
to
state
click, click,
legislature
click, look
if
for
you
it.
have
Okay.
a concern about that and you feel
Sure.
that that's
And this one.
appropriate.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand. All right. So to summarize, I'd asked because they claim that they have these certified election officials running the election system that are trained by the state. Then we find out that, in fact, the state doesn't have a requirement that election officials who are actually trained conduct the elections. Now, Fina, who was sitting down there, said that if we don't like that, that's something we can bring up with our legislature. So I will point that out. They will not do anything that makes any common sense without us making them. Again, this is just how government works. They want to create this charade, this mirage that we have a bunch of trained people running elections. And in reality, there is no requirement for someone who's actually trained to conduct the election tabulation or computer stuff. I was a little blown away by it, but I wanted to share that with everyone on this part of the lat and then get into something that was even more startling. And I'll go into it now. Hate to make you repeat yourself, but if you said in the beginning what process you're going through right now.
I didn't necessarily. I think these guys have both had attendance, so I didn't go through the whole explanation of what we're doing. But just testing the predetermined. Oh, they go in the can now. Per the matrix, we pre-mark test ballots to run them through the system to show that the system is reading the markings on the ballots correctly. And then we'll compare the results after we're done to show that it did in fact read them as they were marked.
And is it okay if I ask some questions, or would that be bothering you?
Questions about the LAT?
About what you're doing right now?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. So the pre-marked ballots, I know in the past there was questions about who verifies the pre-marked ballots.
That's what the test is for.
And I understand the test verifies the results match what the pre-marked ballots are supposed to read, right? Has there been any change to someone verifying what these are marked?
No, we mark them per the matrix and run them through the system.
They're physically marked, then they're not computer generated?
These ones are physically marked because sometimes we'll use our AVU ballots because we have to do that test as well. The printer for the AVU can't handle this size piece of paper. So these ones are all hand marked.
Fina, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure.
So I brought this up in the past, and other candidates have as well, on just quality control procedures in most industries would have somebody verify the markings match with the results, not just that the results are what the outcome was supposed to be. Has anyone ever brought that up with you?
Verify what you mean by that?
Yeah, so it has been brought up before that there is no one verifying what these have on them, only that the results are what someone says they should be. Yeah, stop there and catch everyone up, explain what's going on. So we have a computerized election counting system, and this is a test to see if it's accurate, logic and accuracy test. So they have this big pile of ballots that they have hand filled out. And my question is, why are they not verifying what is filled out? They're only verifying what the computer says the votes are. And it's very simple to me. You have to verify, usually a two-person process, and they would say, yep, we filled so many out for John Doe, so many out for Jane Doe, and we're going to write that down and make a little signature on it to say this is what these ballots say. And then we're going to test the computer, and if the computer matches what we said, then we have a meaningful, what went in is what we got out of the test. So I wanted to explain that is what we're talking about here. The process should have somebody verify both the in and the out, not just the out.
So marking the ballots and then having somebody double check the marks that are on the ballots?
It's actually a pretty normal process for any verification that somebody verify this says what that says. It's not just that says what someone wants it to say.
I'm just trying to clarify your
Yeah.
question. So
Okay.
having someone double check after the ballots are hand marked?
There's usually a two-person in most processes. There's a two-person verification for something like this, where they would say, we did check these and tabulated. This says this, and the outcome matches. Not just the outcome is something that we were supposed to get.
Interesting.
If it does make a difference, in majority of the cases, one person does read what needs to be marked and one person is marking. So it's not necessarily that person is looking at them, but it is kind of not necessarily always one person reading and marking.
Yep. So it's just as a candidate, I would like to see the standard, and I say industry, pretty much any accounting standard would have, hey, we're going to certify everything else. Why aren't we certifying that what we are saying happened is what somebody marked?
Should you mean that in more of a hand count, where you would hand count all the ballots?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's just like replacement ballots or duplicate ballots that they're saying this ballot says this, and somebody certifies it says that, and the outcome then can go against that certification and say that matches. We're done worrying about it now. Not just here's an outcome. we don't know what really went in. Because that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, the test is really a test of the tabulation system. That's what we're testing. They're testing whether the programming is done right, whether it's reading the marks on the ballot correctly. And the systems are certified. So when they get marked, that's what we're testing.
I'll actually.
We're not necessarily testing the ability of a human to mark a ballot.
I agree with that, but
So that's not what we're testing. So if the results come out and they don't match, then again, then it's like, okay, then there's an investigation. But then they look in to see, like, that's when it is like, oh shoot, we forgot one on precinct XYZ, and that's the one where we missed. That's why it was one short of our expected results.
I will write it because everything's easier, but I'm trying to express it verbally because sometimes that's easier in person.
Sure.
I will dispute that these results cannot be verified as accurate unless the input is verified to match the output. And that is a standard accounting process in every industry I've ever come across.
Yeah, feel free to send that to the office, and if we can provide an answer that clarifies more, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think you'll be able. Would you like me to send it to the Secretary of State Elections email, or is there a specific? Okay. Again, I'm disputing, verbally letting you know that this verification does not actually verify anything because the input is not known. All right. So that clear with everyone? They don't know. And this is going to end up blowing up during this test. And it is going to show everyone this particular test failed. And it failed big time. And it's exactly what I was worried about. And so I'm going to go ahead and show you what happened after they ran these ballots and what I and other election lat observers, there were only 3 of us, found out during the verification process. Ballots were not filled out to match the intended matrix.
No, they were. So when we did it, and then this was potentially incorrect, I needed to change this, and I didn't.
So the matrix wasn't filled out.
We do an unofficial LAT before we were send the ballots out, and that's where we find if we find a mismark, and then if we found it here, it's 4, and we went, we ran it, and we had to redo it again. That's where I should have corrected the matrix.
And I'm sorry, how do we know the ballot isn't wrong and that's right?
Because it should be 5. So if I made a mistake and didn't correct the matrix because it needs to be a different, unique number.
But what if the ballots are actually right and that's wrong? How do we know?
The ballots are right and the matrix is incorrect because I didn't correct the matrix. So I have probably, if I look in my shred bin, I probably have one that has a note and I missed that note to correct it.
Okay.
So the ballots are right because the matrix, the rules of the matrix state it should be 5, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Because it has to be a unique number.
That's fine. And so, Secretary of State, Tina, this is the situation. I can't help but think this is what I was worried about.
Yeah, so it'd be that one.
And why there needs to be a verification of the ballots that are being done. Because I don't personally know right now which one's right. I understand and I believe her. But I don't think without someone verifying, we don't know right now which one's right. We have a assumption.
Although you could go to the scanned and just pull up these 5.
You can't.
Well, it would be kind of difficult, but
Yeah.
we'd have to pull them out and take a look at them. But I do know that we had a few, and I believe this was one of the ones, so it was my mistake of not correcting the matrix. So the ballots are correct, while I did not correct the matrix when we found the error. for state senator for Ledge 10, and then for representative position 1, it's the same situation. So it should be 5, 2, 3, 4, and an overvote.
I don't know Verity well enough. Is it possible once you've done that to review and actually pull them up? I know some of the systems are different where you can pull up ones.
I have to look. I can search by a specific ballot, but I need to look if the search criteria will let me pull up a specific race.
Oh, and
without just
what's...
clicking through every single ballot one at a time.
Mm-hmm.
So, and because of how we use all of these, the majority of the 500 or whatever ballots are the 10401s. So it's not like there's only 10 10401s to look at. It's all these original, these first ones that are here. So, but I'm sure, I mean, we can probably figure it out and find it. So,
And from a certification standpoint, this is not an issue at all. From the LAT certification, because we're going to certify now. I just want to double check. The Secretary of State has no issue with this.
The matrix should be 5, 2, 3, 4, 1.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I would prefer if we could do that, and I would be.
Can we
happy
go
to
through the
help.
rest of the results first?
Sure.
Thanks.
Okay, so let's be very clear. So I told them, you don't know what's going in, so how can you verify what's coming out? They ran the test, and then they said, well, yeah, no. It's the computer counted it right. We filled out the ballots wrong. And I brought up, how do you know the computer didn't count it wrong and you filled out the ballots right? And when I challenged the Secretary of State on this, they were about to certify the entire election for computerized system to count right. These are very few votes that they're counting. We have 80,000 potentially in Skagit County, and these are just hundreds. And they can't get numbers to match between ballots that go in the electronic counters and the vote that comes out. They can't figure out, okay, well, it's different, but yeah, that's probably okay. We're just going to change this other number. And I challenged them. They ended up having to do a hand recount of everything. I don't know where it ended up. I'm sure they're going to say it's fine, but none of it's fine. To have these kind of processes, have people run our election system like this is not fine. It's a failure to me. And I told them it would be happening. And if we weren't there, they would have just kept going forward. And who knows what would be happening. I have no faith in these electronic counting machines because nobody understands how to do proper accounting. And this whole process proves that. So this isn't where the problems ended. Next, we came across something that I pointed out to them during the review of their results that was a little shocking, and I think you guys will find it a little shocking too. It's a small number of votes, and the percentage is small, but I'm wondering on the software requirement why the percentages add up more than 100%.
Are you talking about like if you add up the individual ones? I would have to go. I have no idea. I'd have to go looking into it for you.
And because
Ledge 39.
Yeah.
So it's, I guess if you add
One or two, or both?
39 state senator. Now, again, we're dealing with a lot of numbers, but this particular count is going through.
So I'm curious where you got over 100%, 50, and 20 and 30 is 100.
I think he's looking at the state senator.
State senator, District 39.
Oh, I'm sorry. I looked at the wrong.
Yeah. So
100th of a percent.
So let me explain what happened here. I was reviewing these sheets of paper and reviewing the percentages for this mock election that they were running our test on. And I found that when you added up the vote percentages for different votes, in one race, they had over 100% of the vote being counted. So to be clear, the computer was adding up over 100% of the votes that were cast, and that was not being questioned by anyone but me. And I'm like, you can't have more than 100%. So that's what we're talking about here. So let's listen to the rest of it. I deal with numbers a lot. And so one thing when I see this, I'm like, well, I understand you can't technically have, a percentage of a vote. And But in the software, if we're only dealing with 14 votes and it doesn't actually produce a result that matches 100%, what's going on when we have tens of thousands of votes?
I'll have to ask Hart. I don't know how it factors that. So I'll have to find out.
Fina, do you see what I'm pointing out?
No.
Okay, so
It's a rounding thing, the 0.29. So it's the way it rounds. The thing is that it would only be rounding. It would never be more than a hundredth of a percent. There could be 1,000,
I don't-
10,000 ballots, and the percentage is always going to have to round in that hundredth decimal position, and it'll never be like
well,
0.05. It's always
appreciate-
just going to be off.
I appreciate your perspective, but again, we're dealing with 14, 21 votes, and the software does not have an actual ability to match percentages, which is, if you don't, I'm an engineer. This is a very simple thing, software-wise.
Sure, so the thing about candidates is they don't win by percentages, they win by votes.
I understand.
So if
I agree
if
with that
it's
as well.
looking- So again, if the vote is 9, the vote is 2, the vote is 3, if we're looking on that, that's what's gonna be added, and what'll be added to the other counties' votes. So in terms of the percentage of what votes they got in this county compared to whatever votes, it's for,
They could always
It's for
do out 3
illustrative
digits.
purposes.
I agree. By the way, there's the discussion you guys are having is not what I'm asking.
No, I'm smelling what you're stepping in here.
Okay, so-
the math has to add up.
The math has to add up.
Math has to add up.
And if the
Absolutely.
software can't add
Yeah.
in 2024, if it can't add up on a vote of 21 people to actually get percentages to match, I'm questioning what the state requirement is for the accuracy of the software. So that last voice you heard was the representative from the Republican Party. The lady before that off camera was a representative from the Democrat Party. And the Democrat Party representative didn't see a problem with there being over 100% being added up. And then the Republican Party observer seemed to understand the logic of what I was questioning, is why in 2024 can our computer program that's supposed to be counting our election system that we're supposed to have full faith in add up percentages beyond 100%? And it's a legitimate question, and I never have gotten a good answer. Now, a lot of people out there may automatically understand where my mind is going on this. There's a lot of concern about fractional voting. This is a sign of that. I'm not saying it is. I don't know, but no one can give me an answer. Now, interestingly, I was actually at the Snohomish County logic and accuracy test, which was ran by much more competent people, in my opinion. Very impressed with the people working there, so I'll give them hats off to them. But this same issue came up. In 4 different races, they had over 100% of the votes cast being counted. And that's when you do the percentage addition. It's very basic math. And I'd asked them and the Secretary of State representative at that lat, do you have a technical bullet on this? Does anyone have any documentation of why this is happening? And they can't answer it either. And that's not for all these people in the election offices, that's not something that I think is a comment on them, but it is a comment on they don't know, and this is not new. Getting more than 100% of vote shouldn't be possible. Why do we not have a formally issued technical bulletin? Why don't we have answers for this? Why are the election offices ignoring this? So, in summary, everyone, they don't require certified people to actually conduct a computer operations in our elections. It could be anyone. We have a system where they don't verify their tests. What's going in is what's coming out. We have a failed test where what's coming out didn't match what it was supposed to. And then we have over 100% of the votes being counted. So you can see why I titled this article Failure. I don't know what to say. I'm going to tell you now, we need to vote. Everyone needs to vote. We cannot trust this to a small percentage victory. I want everyone out there to vote for their candidate. I want everyone out there to cast every vote to make sure when we have these problems, at least if there is a problem, maybe we can overcome it. We need to get out there, you guys, and we need to challenge our legislature. This system sucks. It just sucks. It's as bad as it was in 2020, maybe worse, because they've passed so many laws in the legislature of the state of Washington to keep us from being able to audit what the government is doing and how these elections are being ran. So pretty bad in my opinion, you guys. Thanks for watching this. Spread the news and start questioning everyone that's doing this stuff to why they can't answer these simple questions and why these tests fail and why we're having federal elections with a system that fails. Thanks to you guys. I will update you as soon as I can.